Voter Services event from the League of Women Voters, Edwardsville area, with the endorsement of our partner organization, the Edwardsville chapter of the NAACP. Paul Pitts has agreed to speak for a few minutes to you from the NAACP. Paul?
Well, thank you, and good evening, everyone, and we welcome our candidates. The NAACP, we're proud to be a partner with the League of Women Voters. As many of you know, we've been working together for over 100 years, and we are just pleased to be a part of the democratic process this evening. One note I would like to inform everyone, or let everyone know, that this is the 158th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's quite fitting that democracy continues as we have our program tonight and a chance for the public to interact with the candidates and for the various offices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. The League of Women Voters currently is celebrating its 100th anniversary of its founding. It is a national organization devoted to educating voters and encouraging voting. The NAACP, likewise, with a mandate to advance and promote the achievement of the rights of people of color, has a long history of promotion of informed voting. We work together. Democracy requires an educated and involved election. We, the League of Women Voters, is affiliated with no political party or candidate as an organization. Our members reflect a variety of personal political opinions. We are mandated to provide fair and informative voter services event. Tonight's event will include candidates for the Illinois representative to the 112th district and Madison County candidates for circuit clerk, state's attorney, auditor, coroner, county board chair, and county board members from districts 3, 18, and 26. All candidates for each race were invited to tonight's event, so those who chose to participate are the ones who will be participating. Tonight's event will be live streamed on our Facebook page, which is League of Women Voters of the Edwardsville area, and will be available for later watching on our Facebook page and through our website and YouTube site. It will also be broadcast on local cable TV station 993 twice a day until the election. We ask that no other recording take place, as the FCC and the League rules require the event not to be edited or shown in anything but its entirety. Candidates. Now we're on the question of timing. When time to speak is allotted, you will hear this sound. Nope, you'll hear this sound, sorry, when 1 minute remains, and this sound again when 30 seconds remain. And then when your time is over, you'll hear this sound. So we'll obviously give you a beat or two to finish, but we try to keep people just apprised of where they are in their time. On the ballot, there will be a constitutional amendment. That will be the first thing that you will see on talking to the voters. Although politically non-aligned, the League of Women Voters does, after study, arrive at positions regarding community welfare, education, the environment, and fair taxes and districting. The League does support answering this question, yes. This change to our state constitution allows the legislature to depart from a flat tax requirement, so they can devise a tax structure that is graduated, allowing the less well-off to carry a lower share of the income tax burden, allowing the burden to be distributed according to ability to pay. We'll have speakers speaking on both sides of this issue and all the other propositions that are on the ballot. Today, each speaker will be given 3 minutes to introduce yourself, how you're qualified for the position you're seeking, and why we should vote for you, why a voter should vote for you. So please focus on your policy choices and not those of your opponent. And I'm going to begin today's event. Oh, now we are streaming live on Facebook. I don't know if my beginning was streaming live, but thank heaven we are currently streaming live. This is run by the League of Women Voters and the Edwardsville chapter of the NAACP. We're going to begin our event with the Illinois representative to the 112th district. I'm going to begin with asking candidate Katie Stewart to present herself to the voters with her qualifications.
Well, thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here tonight in this new environment that we're all learning to adjust to. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with, engaged voters from the community. I really want to thank the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for hosting this event and a great hosting of the event in the past. I missed the opportunity to be at the YLD, which was always such a wonderful forum for the event. And thank you to everybody who's taking time out of their evening to watch this or watching it at a future date, sometime before the November 3rd election. Just a little bit about my background. I've lived in Edwardsville for over 25 years. With my husband Steve, we have 2 wonderful children. I'm really proud to call this community home. Really has been an honor to be able to serve this community for the last 4 years as the state representative in the 112th. As many people know by now, I'm a former educator. I taught mathematics for well over 20 years. Taught in the math department at SIUE, also taught in the Edwardsville and Highland school districts. Had spent a career helping students in the classroom, teaching them how to solve problems, how to look carefully at situations. And I've been bringing those skills along with me to Springfield and trying to address the complex issues that we face and put our state on a better path. I originally ran in 2016 because at the time I was at SIU Edwardsville and I kept getting notice after notice of where we were cutting. That we were cutting the department budget, and then we were cutting the School of Arts and Sciences budget, and then we were cutting the university as a whole. And classes that I taught that were capped at 25 students were then capped at 30 students, and then 45 students, and then 60. And then there was talk of possibly going to models where you had 300 students in a class. For a college algebra class. And I don't feel that that's the best way to provide a high quality education for our students. And it's not why students choose SIU Edwardsville. And so I kept seeing issues like that. My children were in the public schools. I saw them lose opportunities to go on field trips. I saw their class sizes getting bigger. And I knew that we were doing something wrong here in Illinois. Part of my job at SIU, because I have such an extensive background in secondary education in the classroom, is I was training our future teachers. I was involved in their student teaching experience, and I was their mentor and their advocate and everything else. And it dawned on me that I was training these teachers to go into the field that I absolutely loved, but sending them into classrooms in a state that I didn't feel was upholding its constitutional mandate to provide a high quality education for its people and to support its teachers. So that's why I stepped away from the classroom, which I still miss every day, but decided to try to be part of a positive change in a better direction. I also knew that we were in a budget crisis in Illinois and we were at a standstill for years. I was, when I was elected in 2016 and then sworn in 2017, I came in the middle of a budget standoff that lasted almost 2 years. I promised that I would not take a paycheck until we passed a budget, and I held to that promise. I think it's important to make sure that our elected officials do the work that we send them, wherever we send them, whether it's the county board or to the state house. They need to do the work that we elect them to do. I also know that it's important that our tax dollars fund priorities like education, like parks, like public safety. And our tax dollars are not there to give perks to politicians. That's why I rejected a government pension. I'm fighting to eliminate lifetime pension benefits for pilots because, like I said, we need to fund schools, healthcare, public safety, and all the other things that are so important to our families.
Thank you. Thank you. We're next to ask you to, I'm going to give 3 minutes for you to answer a question that we've already given you so that you could be prepared. And the question is, do you support a fair tax plan or graduated income tax plan for the state of Illinois? Why or why not?
Well, I just want to say that regardless of how any of us plans to vote on that amendment, because that amendment is in front of all of us as voters in the state of Illinois, I think we can all agree that our current tax system just does not work for middle-class families. Middle-class families were hit with a tax increase 2 years ago, a tax increase that I voted against. I voted to put the amendment on the ballot because I wanted to give voters the choice of whether or not they would like to move to a fair tax system. I would like to really encourage people to make sure that they're making their decision and that they decide how to vote based on facts. I don't want people to make decisions based on rumors and political spin. For example, the fair tax has absolutely nothing to do with implementing a tax on retirement income, something which I have always opposed and always will oppose. So I want voters to make an informed decision, make sure that they understand exactly what the amendment does, and dispel the rumors as to what people say it does, it actually doesn't do. Our focus really needs to be on providing more relief for middle-class taxpayers, especially property tax relief. That's really where our families struggle the most.
Thank you. We have some time left if there was more you needed to say, or shall I move to the next candidate?
You can move to the next candidate. That's fine. Thank you.
I appreciate it. The next candidate for the same position, which is the Illinois representative to the 112th District of Illinois, is Lisa, is it Ciampoli or Campoli?
Ciampoli, ma'am.
Ciampoli, I thought it was.
Thank you.
Okay, Lisa Ciampoli. You'll be given 3 minutes to present yourself and your qualification to the voters, Lisa.
Thank you very much. Thank you for seeing all of you. I see a lot of familiar faces. One, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the sponsors, the NAACP. I'm Lisa Ciampoli. I was born and raised in Collinsville, graduated from Collinsville High School. I went on to get my degree at Webster University for nursing. I then went on to graduate school at SIU Edwardsville for a nurse anesthetist. During that time, I was raising my family and raising my daughter, who graduated from Collinsville High School also, went to Good Shepherd Lutheran School. She did follow in my footsteps and went into nursing, which I'm very proud of. She currently lives in Collinsville and also just recently got engaged. I'm a strong supporter of the Child Advocacy Center, and my daughter and I have spent many, many weekends up at PetSmart working with animals to get adopted for our Partners for Pets. I'm running for the Illinois State Rep in the 112th, and that includes Madison County and St. Clair County. I made the decision to run because I'm tired of corruption, reckless spending, and high property tax. I've been in healthcare for 37 years. I've worked long hours. I still work weekends, holidays, and I'm going to take that work ethic up to Springfield. What makes me qualified, I think, for this position is that I was 3 years on the city council. I was also on the Madison County Board for 8 years. And during my term, I was chairman of finance. With that, we worked together to decrease the budget, $1.8 million. Also, I also tried to get a pay decrease, but that didn't fly. I tried. Also, with that, we tried to work with everyone across party lines, Democrats and Republicans, and we did pass a balanced budget. Also, during that time, we helped increase funding for the Child Advocacy Center. We did a jail project without getting a bond issue. I'm a big supporter of the mental health. My main issue that I'd like to change in Springfield is working on a balanced budget. The budget is not balanced right now. To keep Illinoisans safe from the coronavirus, and who better for a nurse to do that, and also make Illinois a more friendly environment for small businesses. I've also been endorsed by the National Federation of Independent Businesses, and I thank them for that endorsement. What makes me different from my opponent is that I won't vote for Mike Madigan for Speaker of the House. I won't vote for pay increases. I think that needs to go away totally. And I would also only vote for a balanced budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'd like you, Lisa Ciampoli, to respond to the same question, which is, do you support a tax plan or graduated income tax plan for the state of Illinois? Why or why not? You'll have 3 minutes.
Well, I do not support the constitutional amendment on the November ballot. I know I differ. And I'll just give you some points on why I don't agree with it. And one, the flat tax is one of Illinois' leading reason why we can keep small businesses here and the people here in Illinois. If we change to a progressive tax, it's going to cost $3.5 billion increase to families, small businesses, and farmers. It does also say that when they're going, in the little blue book that we were sent, it also says that they're going to tax corporations. And most of our small businesses are corporations, and so of our farmers. And I think right now with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, that would be very hurtful. Most of the people are suffering in Illinois, and many people are leaving our state, businesses, people, and I think another tax would just increase that possibility. Also, earlier this year, the Illinois Democratic Treasurer admitted that possibly that the Democrats would use the progressive tax to tax retirement income, which would include IRAs, 401ks, pensions, and I just think this is a bad time, especially with the pandemic. We've lost revenue from small businesses, and I just think it's a really bad idea. And right now, all the other 32 states that have a progressive income tax have taxed retirement income. And again, I think that's a really bad idea. I know they say they may not, but right now, I'm a little bit untrusting. Seniors can't afford it, and it would be very difficult for them to handle that. Time and time again, the legislation has not been responsible with our tax dollars. And so again, that's why I think the progressive tax is wrong. The last few times when they raised the taxes, they said they were going to do reforms for the budget and pension, and they did not do that. We're at $5.5 billion out of budget. So I would vote no for the tax increase, and I hope everyone else will, and hopefully support me on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to move on now to the Madison County candidates, starting with the position of circuit clerk. I'm going to ask Amy Gabriel first to speak, to present herself and her qualifications, and in short, why voters should vote for you. That will be 3 minutes.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters and the Edwardsville branch of the NAACP for this opportunity to get to talk to voters. And it's been really challenging for us, as you can imagine, trying to get in front of people and just introduce ourselves. And so thank you so much for this chance tonight. I'm Amy Gabriel. I live in Glen Carbon with my 2 daughters, and I grew up in Collinsville and then moved to Edwardsville and actually graduated from Edwardsville High School. As a lifelong resident of Madison County, I just have received so many good positive benefits to our from our community. And so with that as a background, I am running to be your circuit clerk. I hope to earn your vote, and I want to work for you. I want to do that because not only am I a lifelong resident in this community, and our kids and our families mean the world to me, but I have 20 years of experience being an attorney here in Madison County. I'm licensed in Illinois and Missouri, and I believe that makes me an expert for all of the business that happens in the courthouse. The circuit clerk basically runs the business behind the scenes of our legal system every day there at the courthouse. And I have practiced law and fought for clients and victims in basically almost every courtroom, almost every docket that we have, from civil cases to criminal cases. I was a prosecutor for 13 years with our state's attorney's office. Most of my trial work was abuse and neglect of children and sexual assault cases. And with that background and with that knowledge of our legal system, when Mark Venida, our current circuit clerk, said that he was going to retire, there was an opportunity there. I certainly didn't think 20 years ago that I'd be talking to you and dipping my toe into the political pool. But this is an opportunity for me to give back and for me to work for all of you and put the skill set and the knowledge that I have of our legal system to play every day in that courthouse. I know what happens in those courtrooms. I have relationships with the stakeholders that go and do the work of our legal system every day, from the judges to the other attorneys, and especially the deputy clerks themselves in the circuit clerk's office. I've been endorsed by the union AFSCME that comprises most of the circuit clerk's office. So I'm very proud to have that, and they support me. And with my public service work through the Madison County Child Advocacy Center that I've been on their board for over 10 years, and I was elected to the Glen Carbon Centennial Library as a trustee and served there for 6 years. This is just the perfect fit in terms of my public service, my love for our community, and my legal background to do this work at our courthouse every day. And I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you. I'd like you to answer this question. You'll be given 3 minutes. What experience do you bring from your current occupation to assist you to run an efficient office?
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. In addition to what I just laid out for you in terms of my technical legal background, my priority and my vision as a circuit clerk to make sure that the courthouse is run fairly, it's run equitably, it's run in a cost-efficient way. The circuit clerk deals with not only the pleadings, but all of the fees and fines that come through through the different dockets, and legally has to be able to discern and translate the laws and administrative orders from the courts and our legislators to then tell the clerks this is how this order is going to come into play and how these fees and fines are going to be dispersed throughout our county in different ways. And so that's the business of the courthouse, and for it to continue to run smoothly and to make sure that everyone that comes into that courthouse, no matter who they are, no matter if they can afford an attorney, no matter what they look like, or what brings them there, that they will all be treated fairly and equitably, and that they'll be given the resources that they need. What I bring to you as your circuit clerk is a love and a deep respect of the law, having practiced law for 20 years. And I wanted to say that tonight because I'm just feeling really thoughtful about the loss of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she's been an inspiration to me. I do not believe that I'd be sitting here running to be your first female elected circuit clerk or have the career as an attorney that I have had without her. And she had the same just deep passion and love for the law and the precedent that comes before us and our legal system as a whole. And as your circuit clerk, I know what's happening in those courtrooms every day because I lived it. I live it every day, and I lived it specifically as a prosecutor in my trial work. I want to tell you that I represented and fought for a woman who was a victim of a terrible, heinous sexual assault. She was left for dead. And she thankfully survived and was able to walk into a courtroom and tell 12 strangers who were sitting in a jury box in the same courtroom with her perpetrator, with her attacker. And she told them what happened to her. And they deliberated and they found that man guilty, and he went to prison for a long period of time. And I want to tell you that because I carry her and all of the victims and all of the children and all of the clients that I represent throughout this last 20 years. I will bring that experience and that passion and that respect for our legal system into the courthouse every day. She told me after that verdict was rendered and after we sat and waited for the jury to deliberate that she could finally breathe. She had gave me a bracelet that I have, and I will always cherish it, that says justice will prevail. And she told me that having had that experience, that she was finally able to have some peace because those 12 strangers, our system, our legal justice system, which is not perfect, but it's what we have, and it's our democracy, and it's a foundation. That system gave her some closure. That ability to tell her story and have a voice gave her some measure of peace after this terrible thing that changed the course of her life. Those are things that I'm going to bring. That is what I've done for the last 20 years. And that is why I believe and I hope that I will be able to serve for you, that I'll be able to work for you. And please, as your circuit clerk, I will be an open door. Anything that's happening in that community, in that courthouse, in that legal justice system is going to be on my watch. And so I want to certainly be accountable, and I'll be available to you if there's anything that you would need as your circuit clerk. Then I want to know. I want to do the best work that I can, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. We'll turn now to the other candidate for circuit clerk, Tom McRae. Tom, I'd like you to present yourself and your qualifications to the voters, including basically why should a voter vote for you?
Thanks, Rachel. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us tonight, and to the Everettsville chapter of the NAACP.
Tom, I'm getting a little feedback from your phone. I think you might
I know.
turn that off and just speak.
Let's see. How's that?
You better.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Once again, thank you to the League of Women Voters and to the Everettsville chapter of the NAACP for hosting us tonight. And thanks for everybody who's taken time out to watch this and to get engaged with the various candidates. My name is Tom McRae, and I'm a candidate for the Circuit Clerk of Madison County. I'm a native of Madison County. My wife Patty and I grew up here. We raised our children here who are now grown, and we now have 3 grandchildren. I graduated from SIU Everettsville with a degree in business administration and management, and was fortunate enough to get a job, right out of college with a major pharmaceutical company. And I've spent my career in the oncology division the last 25 years in various roles in the sales organization of those companies. Probably 15 to 20 years ago, probably like a lot of people watching this video, I got a little discouraged watching people in public service, do things that I thought were self-serving or just didn't make sense. And so I decided rather than just to complain about that, I would get engaged. And I ran for public office and was fortunate enough to be elected to the Wood River Township Board, and have served on the Wood River Township Board for a number of years, which I think was a good microcosm. It's actually a microcosm of Madison County because it has the same types of we have a number of employees. We have union employees, non-union employees. We had health insurance benefits are always a challenge. And I think it prepared me well to serve on the Madison County Board, which I've been on for the last 10 years or so. What I've tried to do, and I think I've done effectively, as I've brought my private sector experience into government, into the public sector, I've tried to, my litmus test is always to say, would I do this in my own business or in my own household? And if I would, then I vote for it. If I wouldn't, I vote against it. But I think a lot of times in government, and I think with all due respect, in Madison County, it's been dominated by one political party for the last 75 or 80 years. And they just got into a lot of bad habits. And I think that one of the things that I'm very proud of in Madison County, when we assumed the control of the board 4 years ago, we actually have our tax levy is $2 million less than it was 4 years ago. At the same time, we've allotted over $2.5 million to the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement. We've added to the state's attorney's personnel and to the public defender. So we've done that, and at the same time, we financed the jail project with our money without borrowing a dime, and so the county is debt free. And I think that really came from leadership, good common sense, conservative leadership that we brought when we assumed control of the county board 4 years ago. And so I think that's what I have brought is good common sense leadership that I've incorporated from both the private sector and my government service as a county board member and Wood River Township trustee. And that's what I'll bring to the circuit clerk's office. The circuit clerk, it really is running a business. It has over $10 million of revenues from a variety of different funds. With respect to my opponent, it's not about being a lawyer. It's about running a business. There's 80 employees. Like I said, it's a multi-million-dollar budget. It has a number of different stakeholders that not only include lawyers and judges, it includes the people of Madison County, and that's who you're ultimately accountable to. And so I hope to earn your vote. I would encourage you to look at my track record as a public official, and a record that I'm proud of, and that I would duplicate with good common sense leadership in the circuit clerk's office.
So now we have a question that you have 3 minutes to answer, which is, what experience do you bring from your current occupation that would assist you to run an efficient office?
Yeah, I think I touched on a lot of that, but I think, basically good common sense leadership. I've of course in my private sector jobs, I've had formal leadership and management development opportunities, budget and analytics, and I brought all those into government or tried to. And I think that what I think the most important thing, bundling all that together, is just good common sense. And like I said, I think if people look at things and say, would I do this in my own business or my own household? And if the answer to that is yes, then you should vote for it. If it's no, then you shouldn't. And you should have the courage to stand up for that. Some of the things that you see in government is something that just happened last week, for example, when a whistleblower from the state's attorney's office showed what appears to be blatant electioneering with the county's email system. And I was really actually shocked and disappointed by that. And but it appears to be something that went on and was fairly and went on for a long period of time. And like I said, it was disturbing to me. And it takes courage for people to stand up and take a stand against those things. But I think a good public servant does that. And that's what I'll do in the circuit clerk's office. I'll bring my all those experiences to the circuit clerk's office, and I'll run it fairly. I will run it apolitically. And I think, no one in the circuit clerk's office should feel like they have to contribute to a campaign or march in a parade or door knock for anybody. And I will put a stop to that. And I will run it in a fair and, like I said, apolitical manner, serving the constituents of Madison County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those were our two candidates for the position of Madison County Circuit Clerk that you heard from. You heard from Amy Gabriel and Thomas Lay. Now we are going to move to the state's attorney position for Madison County. The first candidate I'd like to speak would be Crystal Huey. Crystal Huey, I would like you to present your, for 3 minutes, yourself, your qualifications, and why voters should vote for you.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you to the Edwardsville NAACP. Like everyone has already said, it's so hard to get out and really talk to everybody, so this is a great forum. And I've always enjoyed participating in the past. My name is Crystal Huey, and I'm the first assistant state's attorney here in Madison County. I grew up in Alhambra, Illinois. I graduated from Highland High School, and I've lived in Madison County my entire life. I've spent my entire career at the Madison County State's Attorney's Office. And I started out as a legal intern 15 years ago. I worked for free as a file clerk. And then I passed the bar exam, and I started out in the traffic and misdemeanor division. And in about 3 years, I became supervisor of that division. I continued on there for another couple of years before being promoted to the felony division. And within 2 years of doing that, I was to the felony division as well. Since 2013, I've prosecuted violent crimes here in Madison County, and I've had my hand in over 50 murder cases since that time period. I have never lost a murder trial. I'm running not as a politician, but as a prosecutor. I will be the first person to have ever worked their way up in the office in this manner, to actually have started my career here and worked their way up. The Madison County State's Attorney's Office for the last 25 years has had a female first assistant state's attorney. But for 25 years, not one of those first assistants were ever given the opportunity to run for the Madison County State's Attorney's Office. And I'm very proud that, as Amy said, that there's been trailblazers ahead of me that have allowed me to be the first female Madison County State's Attorney. During my time period as first assistant state's attorney, I supervised not only the Violent Crimes Division, the Children's Justice Division. I supervise all of the state's attorney participation in all of our treatment courts. And I personally prosecuted over hundreds of thousands of cases. I prosecuted crimes against children, predatory criminal sexual assault cases. I prosecuted murder cases. I prosecuted gang violence cases. Why does that matter? Well, I'm telling you, being the most experienced trial attorney, until you have those experiences, until you've held the little girl's hand while she takes the stand, like Amy was saying, and tells a group of people as she clutches her teddy bear what horrible things have happened, until you've sat across from a family who've experienced the loss, the profound loss of a child, and actually gone into court and fought for them, then you can't really call yourself a prosecutor. And I am a prosecutor. I have, again, earned the respect of the law enforcement community. And I have the endorsements from the major police departments here in Madison County, most of which who have never endorsed before. And the reason they're stepping forward and endorsing now and in this election is because they know how dangerous it is to have somebody that's unexperienced and untested in this spot. So I'm proud to say that I am endorsed by the Granite City Police Department. I'm endorsed by the Madison County Sheriff's Department. I'm endorsed by the Alton Police Department. I'm endorsed by the Edwardsville Police Department. I'm endorsed by Chief Ken Roselle of the Granite City Police Department, Sheriff Lakin, Chief Jake Simmons. I also have the endorsement of ABATE of Illinois, which fights for motorcycle rights, and that's a statewide organization. All of these people are coming forward in this election because they know that experience matters. And I will be the most experienced trial attorney to ever have held this position.
Next, I'd like you to answer a question. You'll have 3 minutes. And the question is, what policies in the community would you spearhead to prevent further crime, future crime, and recidivism?
So I think really the first, again, having the experience that I have gives me a unique perspective about what issues actually plague this county. And there's no secret there's a drug epidemic going on. And that's why our participation in our treatment courts is so important. Drug cases account for about a third or 30% of the cases that we charge every year. And we figured out that you cannot arrest your way out of this problem. You have to look at other resources. So the purpose of our Madison County treatment courts, and that's going to include drug court, mental health court, and veterans court, is to identify the underlying causes of the crime and actually address those so as to prevent further criminal acts, and that could be theft and burglaries, and it extends into so many of the other crimes that we see. And that's going to be addressing employment issues. We're going to need to address treatment, of course, aggressively prosecute drug dealers who bring the drugs into our community. And we do that by promoting education, and we get into the schools at an early age and really provide resources in that way. When people enter into drug court, it costs $22,000 a year to incarcerate an individual for a drug-related offense. It costs $4,000 a year to put them through drug court. And every single one of our drug court graduates graduate clean, employed, and with at least a high school diploma or equivalency, and then somewhere to live and job opportunities. So I think what I would like to see is expanding that. Veterans Court has similar goals, but of course reserved for our veterans, figuring out what resources can we provide those who have served us in our country. And of course, mental health court. We have a huge, the criminal justice system has a huge issue with people not being prepared to deal with people with profound mental illness. So I think more resources towards providing, criminal alternatives to the criminal justice system, alternatives to incarceration, I think are huge in reducing recidivism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So those were our two candidates for Madison County State's Attorney. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My second candidate is waiting. Goodness, I'm getting confused.
I thought for sure you wouldn't forget me, Rachel.
Huh?
I thought for sure you wouldn't forget me.
I didn't forget you. Tom Hain, if you would present yourself and your qualifications to the voters, including why a voter should vote for you. Sorry.
Sure. Like everyone else, I just want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters, Rachel, you especially, and Paul with the NAACP. I think since the Haskell Park Forum, this is the first time we've had a chance to kind of get out all together as candidates, which is too bad because I think this is a pivotal election for all of us, for the country, and for us in Madison County. So this is a great public service you're offering to everybody on Facebook. You can find out more about me at tomhain.com. But I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys today. So my name is Tom Hain. I am running for Madison County State's Attorney, and I'm running based off of the experience I had prosecuting crimes in the military. I was an Army JAG officer for 4.5 years in active duty, and I prosecuted crimes in the military courts, and I prosecuted crimes in the federal courts. So I know what it means to make a case before a jury in the military panel, and to put the bad guys away. And that's what I'm going to be focused on as state's attorney, to reduce violent crime in Madison County. I think all of us look around the country and we see violent crime on the rise. Tragically, just came out today or yesterday that St. Louis has the highest homicide rate ever, or very close to it. And so we need to make sure we have sort of new energy, new leadership, and new focus on reducing crime in Madison County. I'm a little bit of a background, born and raised in Madison County, 5th generation actually in Madison County. In fact, I think I'm 5th generation Altonian. I went to St. Mary's Grade School, which is where all of my sisters went. My wife told me to make sure to tell you, the League of Women Voters, that I grew up in a household of women voters. I had 5 older sisters and a very opinionated mother, and the dinner table conversation was all women voters telling me what I should think. So this is very comfortable for me. So yeah, I grew up in Alton. I'm the 6th of 7 kids, which is a big family, and 5 older sisters. And I went to St. Mary's grade school, and then I went to Marquette High School, and had great experiences at both places. And then I was privileged to go to Princeton University. So I did Princeton University ROTC scholarship, allowed me to pay for Princeton. So thank you, taxpayers of the United States, for paying for my Princeton education. And at Princeton, I learned a great deal about history, and I decided to go into law. So I went to WashU for my law degree, and graduated from WashU and went active duty in the Army in 2012. And it was there that I learned my prosecution experience. And it was there also that I learned how to lead. I think the key aspect of running an office like the state's attorney's office is going to be leadership. Leadership means being able to have a vision for what you think success looks like. And leadership means holding your office and the people who work in that office accountable, and yourself accountable, to make sure that you can progress and win the fight against crime, in this case, in the state's attorney's office. And I learned from the best leaders in the business. In the JAG Corps, they taught me what right looks like. And when I think of a state's attorney, I think of those great JAG prosecutors, those great JAG commanders that I had, that I learned from every day. So I see I'm over my time.
The next thing is that I wanted, you're given 3 minutes to answer the following question, which is, what policies in the community would you spearhead to prevent future crime and recidivism? 3 minutes for that.
For the sake of the people on Facebook, I cut out a little bit. Rachel, could you that
Yeah.
questions just so everybody?
What policies in the community would you spearhead to prevent future crime and recidivism?
Sure, that's a great question. The criminal process is so complicated. I learned this in the military when I was prosecuting crimes for a local military community. In the military, we had about 20,000 soldiers at Fort Drum, where I primarily practiced. And so it's like Alton size, a little bit smaller. And so you deal with all the things that you deal with in a regular community. It's just with military and with guns. When I think of recidivism, I think of reducing the incentives to crime in the future. And the most important thing that I think we can do now is support our local law enforcement. Our local law enforcement are under serious stress right now in our nation. And we need to make sure that they know as a community, and they know as a state attorney's office, that we will support them. They do an incredibly brave and valuable public service when they go out on the streets every day and they enforce the law fairly and equally to all. And I think as a community, if we know that the law enforcement are there and that they are empowered to do the right thing and to make sure that crime does not pay, that will disincentivize crime for everyone, and that will make sure that we don't have these cycles of crime. Cycles of crime are the same as cycles of violence, and they repeat and they escalate and they get out of control. And so if we can make sure that everyone knows that Madison County will never be a place where crime pays, that's very important. And the other thing I will bring to the job of state's attorney, and that will also help me reduce crime in Madison County, is perspective. I have lived in Madison County. I have my family in Madison County. My own children will be growing up on the neighborhoods of Madison County, but I've practiced and I've prosecuted law. I've prosecuted cases in military courts in 2 different states and in federal courts in 2 different states. And I've been a civil practicing attorney here in Madison County for the last 2.5 years or 3 years. So, and also in St. Louis as well. So the entire region. So I know what it takes to make this community safe. And I have the perspective to make our justice system better. I believe we can do better. I think that our ambitions are not high enough. And that when I'm in office, I will make sure that we elevate our ambitions to make sure that our justice system improves. The status quo is not good enough, in my opinion. When I got out of the Army and I looked at how the justice system in Madison County was working, I was not satisfied. And I don't think many Madison County residents are satisfied either. And I also asked the opinion of my dad. My dad, Bill Hayne, is the longtime serving state's attorney in Madison County. And things were working better when Bill Hayne was state's attorney. And so I hope to use that also, that legacy of my dad and that image of my dad and that military leadership and experience, so that we can do better. We can do better. We can move cases quicker. There are many examples of cases taking far too long. There was a DUI just ended in July that took 4 years to prosecute. 4 years to prosecute a DUI when someone was seriously injured, a motorcyclist. That's unacceptable. These kind of cases should be prosecuted with dispatch, and the office should be held accountable, and I will always be asked to be held accountable by the voters of Madison County. The buck will stop with me. So I hope to earn your vote. I'm very excited to blaze a new trail in the State Attorney's Office so that we can reduce crime, and so that my neighborhood is safer, your neighborhood is safer, our businesses thrive, and the criminals go elsewhere. And so that will reduce the cycle of violence and really help everyone in Madison County. And also, I will say one last thing, Rachel, if I may. You know, when cases take too long, it doesn't just harm the victims who wait. Their lives are on pause while the case is working its way through this system and taking years. It doesn't just harm the witnesses. It actually harms the criminal itself, because that person is waiting years and years and years for a resolution when they should be doing their time to society and moving on with their lives. So we need to make sure that the system works well. Justice delayed is justice denied for everyone. And so we need to allow this system to work well. The justice system needs to get moving so that people can move on and society can flourish. So that's why I hope I can earn your vote. You can go to my website, tomhain.com, and I'd love to hear all of your ideas for how we can make justice work better in Madison County.
So those were the two candidates, Crystal Uwe and Tom Hain for the State's Attorney of Madison County. We'll move on now to the candidates for Madison County Auditor. In the case of the Madison County Auditor candidates, each of them will have 3 minutes to present themselves and their qualifications to the voters and why we should vote for them. There are no questions for these candidates. I'm going to ask first Joe Silkwood to present himself to the voters.
First of all, I'd like to thank Evansville League of Women Voters and the Evansville NAACP for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Joe Silkwood. I'm running for Madison County Auditor. And this is what I believe. County government shouldn't look like federal government. It should look like local government, a team working together for the people. As mayor of East Alton these last 6 years, I've worked with the Board of Trustees made up of Republicans and Democrats. We look for good ideas, not Republican ideas or Democratic ideas. We work together as a team to provide services our residents expect. This is what local government is supposed to look like, and what I believe the county government can look like. The last year I have traveled all around this county, and not one person has told me that the county government should be more political. Instead, the residents told me about their frustration with a government that doesn't work for them. Providing necessary services, protecting private information, and being accountable to the residents is what taxpayers want and deserve. I have paid property taxes in Madison County for 34 years now, and it's what I expect. Prior to becoming the mayor, I worked for 24 years as an appointed administrator, including 16 years as the Village of East Alton treasurer and public administrator. And I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, SIU Edwardsville, for an outstanding education I received through their MPA program. In my role as treasurer, I oversaw 80 government audits that all met the requirements of the Government Accounting Standards Board, GASB. These audits were submitted to and approved by various agencies, the Illinois Department of Insurance, the Illinois Department of Transportation, and the Illinois Comptroller's Office. I was the village watchdog over the finances, and I reported to the elected officials financial data required for their decision-making. In addition to handling the entire financial oversight for the village, I was the public administrator overseeing over 60 employees and was responsible for keeping secure federally protected data, such as Social Security numbers and health information. When I started down the road of public administration, I had high hopes that our local government would make our lives better, and I still believe that we can. And I believe our county government can do the same. As your next county auditor, I look forward to working with 10 very experienced and talented employees in the auditor's office. This team, along with their leader, Rick Fasten, has been recognized nationally 29 years in a row with the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the high standards set by this office. Rick Fasten is leaving the auditor's office as one of the most highly regarded in the state. His professional team and the taxpayers of Madison County deserve to be led by an experienced and strong administrator, not a county insider, but an independent outsider. I am asking for your vote, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next candidate for auditor is David Michael. Please present yourself and your qualifications to the voter, Mr. Michael, including why a voter should vote for you.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel, and thank you, like as everybody said, to the League of Women Voters and the Edwardsville branch of the NAACP. It's great to be here. Thanks to all the candidates as well who took time out of their evening to be here. It's really nice to see you all from both sides as well. My name is David Michael. As we said, I'm 33 years old. I'm a lifelong resident of Highland. My wife and I have been married for almost 4 years now, so it's been a wonderful 4 years, and we were very blessed to just have our first child. I was born just 6 months ago, so she's actually just started eating real food today, which was super exciting to be able to watch that. So a growing family, hopefully, and hopefully there's many more on the way. But I went to St. Paul Catholic Grade School, and then Mater Dei Catholic High School, and then from that I went to the University of Illinois. So actually I went to the University of Illinois because I always wanted to be an accountant, believe it or not, mainly because my oldest sister is an accountant, and I love numbers from a young childhood. And there I studied to not only be an accountant, I got my minor in Spanish, and then I got my master's in accountancy there, which we're really blessed in the state of Illinois to have U of I right in our backyard. It's the #2 accounting school in the nation and the #1 accounting school in the Midwest. After that, I passed the CPA exams, which stands Certified Public Accountant exams, because I wanted to be an auditor. So in the real world, in order to be an auditor, you have to be a CPA. You're not allowed to sign off on audits unless you are a certified public accountant. From there, I went and worked in public accounting, where I was on audits as an external auditor of one of the largest landowning companies in the world, a Fortune 500 company, also on private companies and nonprofits. So I've been on audits of all different types of entities, which is important to know. Just because the financial reporting requirements are different, whether you're a public company, a private company, or a nonprofit, and they're also different for governmental entities. And after that, though, I kind of felt like I wanted to do more service, if you will, in my life. So my church pastor kind of grabbed me and said, hey, there's this new Catholic high school starting in Glen Carbon. I think you'd be great there. So it was there then that I got recruited, and I was the director of finance and development for over 5 years. Full time, I got promoted to the VP of finance, and I'm actually still there part-time for the last 3 years. I'm kind of the top financial officer there. I work with the board of directors and the president to ensure the school is in great financial condition. So I said I'm there part-time the last 3 years, and that's because full-time I'm actually a college accounting professor. So I teach financial reporting, managerial accounting, and tax. That includes payroll tax accounting and the basics of federal taxation. So what is county auditor that we're running for? A lot of people always hear auditor and that's what they stick to. But if your county is less than 275,000 people in the state of Illinois, which Madison County is, you're actually required by state statute to be the general accountant. So in private practice, we'd call that the controller or chief accounting officer, which means you are in charge of all financial reporting according to governmental accounting standards. So it's kind of like two different things, really. So one is you need to be a financial reporting expert. The other one would be an experienced auditor to understand governmental auditing standards as well. And I think just from my experience of working both in public accounting as an external auditor and then as the VP of finance of a nonprofit, also overseeing all their internal controls, which are extremely important, and the attesting of those internal controls to ensure there's no significant deficiencies. I think I'd like to hope that I have the voters' trust in that regard. People ask me why I'm running. It's basically, the answer is really quite simple. It's my trade. I suppose that, if there was a county welder, we'd hire a welder. We have a county state's attorney's office. We hire attorneys for that. So to be the county auditor, we should hire auditors, in my opinion. So I would love the voters to go to my website to learn more about me. It's davidmichaelforauditor.com. And again, I just really appreciate the time. Rachel, thanks for all the good questions. And thanks again to all the candidates for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. So those were the two candidates for Madison County Auditor, Joe Silkwood and David Michael. Only one of the candidates for Madison County Coroner is present. I would like Steve Nahn, please, to present yourself and your qualifications to the voters, as well as why a voter should vote for you.
Thank you, Rachel, so much. And again, thanks to the League of Women Voters and NAACP for co-sponsoring this event. It's a pleasure to be able to talk with all of you tonight. In an email exchange with you, Rachel, we talked about, well, we didn't know what kind of questions to ask the coroner because we don't know what he does. So I think I'm going to start off with that. And quite simply, the coroner gives voice to the dead. They tell a story about what happened to that deceased person. We give them voice. How do we do that? We do that by scene investigation. We do that by collection of evidence, photographs, autopsies, toxicology, collection of evidence. And when all of this is put together, we have a story to tell. And sometimes the stories are tragic. So when the parent says, my little baby fell out of the swing, but our investigation shows previous broken bones, old bruising, 3 fractures of a skull, then we become that baby's voice and say, no, I didn't fall out of the swing. I was murdered. That's what the coroner's office does. By law, we are a law enforcement, same powers as the sheriff. And I'm proud in that regard to say that I have received the endorsement of every police chief in Madison County, as well as the sheriff. And I think that comes from my experience and my education. So let's talk about that. How am I good at being a voice for a dead person? Well, I was with the Madison County Sheriff's Office for 26 years. I left there as a lieutenant in the detective division. While there, I was also a member of the St. Louis Major K Squad, and I became a deputy commander for the squad, and I was with them for 20 years. And then I've been your Madison County coroner going on my 20th year. I have an associate's degree in law enforcement from Swick College. I have a bachelor's degree in the administration of justice from McKendree College. I have, as your coroner, attended 78 different death investigation trainings, which represents about 1,200 hours of education. I have taught at the Coroner's Academy. So by law, when you run to be a coroner and you become the coroner, you have to take this 40-hour training within 6 months of your election. So I am actually part of that education process, and I do teach at that academy. As far as my memberships and committees, I'm the past president of the Illinois Coroners and Medical Examiners Association. I am currently the board chairman of the Southern Illinois Child Death Investigation Task Force. I also sit on the board of the St. Louis Major K Squad. I'm a board member of the Child Advocacy Center that we've talked about earlier today. I'm a member of the Illinois Homicide Investigators Association and a member of the National Homicide Investigators Association. And I'm a member of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. That's part of the memberships and committees. Awards and recognitions. I've received the Governor's Award for Outstanding Contribution in Arson Investigation, the George A. Laxon Award for Exemplary Public Service. I have received the Above and Beyond Award from the National Guard for my hiring practices of veterans. As the coroner, I have made sure that every investigator has attained the highest degree of being able to practice the craft of medical legal death investigation. We do that by becoming members of the nationally recognized American Board of Medical Legal Death Investigators. It's very hard to get this certification. The test is 4 hours long. It's 10 parts. A lot of people don't pass it the first time. It's something to be very proud of. And every one of my investigators has the certification. And it just lends to the professionalism that I believe the citizens of this county deserve. I have been in public service for over 45 years. And what public service means to me is every day that I'm on the job as your elected official, I should be doing something to improve the life of a citizen of this county. It's not about self-service. It's not about serving me and to see how I can make myself look good. It's doing the very best I can every day to serve the citizens of this county. Myself, my investigators truly believe and ascribe to the belief that the high road to service is traveled with integrity, compassion, and understanding. And when we are dealing with somebody's death and it's the worst day of their lives that they've lost a loved one, trust me when I tell you this, they really don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. And that's why I'm asking for your vote to be reelected as your Madison County Coroner. I believe I certainly have the qualifications, the education to do this job. And also, if you would like to learn more about me, I also have a website, nonforcoroner.com. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. That was Steve Nahn, the incumbent and candidate for Madison County Coroner. Our next position is the candidates for the County Board Chair. In this contest, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to present yourself and your qualifications, including why voters should vote for you. Each of you will, if you will, present yourselves. And then I have three questions, which are the countywide propositions, which are on the ballot. One by one, I'll read them and ask each of you to spend a minute telling the voters whether you support or don't support and why or why not that particular proposition. I'd like Robert Dyber first to begin presenting himself and his qualifications to the voters.
Rachel, we good?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for helping preserve democracy. And I have followed you through my career as an elected official and watched your work, and to the NAACP for being an advocate for voters' rights. And to both of you in this unprecedented time in which people are questioning the integrity of our voting system because of the opportunity to vote by mail. So I hope that both of you continue to help bring integrity to the voting process and do what you have done in the past, and that's get people to go vote. But what about Bob Dyber and his family? My wife Karen and I are lifelong residents of this county. I come from a 5th generation family that were heritage in agriculture and farmers. I'm proud that I own that centennial farm today. My wife and I have 2 growing children. Both are graduates of SIU and the public school systems in Madison County. We are residents of Marine, Illinois, and it's unique that an individual from a small community in Marine has been able to serve countywide in public office and represent all the people of this county. Also unique that I come from the more eastern part of Madison County and have held office for the number of years that I was in county administration. For 28 years, I devoted myself to the education of young people. And many of those young people were not looked at as the brightest in our schools, but they took shop classes in which I taught. And I taught young people to have skills that were with their hands. And today I'm proud of many of them because they are our business owners. They're individuals that run cabinet shops. They own machine tool shops. And they are small business people in this county. And I have an invested interest because of their education with them and their encouragement of them to stay here and what they could do. myself, we've been in the farming business for 5 generations, as I mentioned. My wife's family has been in the agricultural business as well. And we have no intentions of leaving Illinois because we have large investments in agricultural property. So, you know, I have served residents of Madison County at all levels. I've been a village trustee. I have served 20 years as a township supervisor. I served from 2002 to 2007 on the Madison County Board before I was appointed and then reelected through 2019 as the regional superintendent of schools in this county. All great and awesome responsibilities, but I want to touch on 2 of them that make me the most qualified person to be chairman in Madison County. I oversaw the largest residential expansion in Madison County from 2004 until 2007. Great growth of rooftops, and know the impact of that economic growth had on this region. At that time, we also did some very big things. I served on the Transportation Committee. We bought McKinley Bridge. We worked on building Governor's Parkway, and we repaired our levees. And that has made our county the great place to live, work, and raise a family because it saved taxpayers thousands of dollars on flood insurance. It's opened up our gateway of Illinois being a center for logistics and transportation with the development of a Gateway Commerce Center. These were really big things that we did on the county board in the time in which I was there. I became regional superintendent of schools in 7, an awesome responsibility to get up every morning and be concerned about the safety and well-being of 48,000 young people and how you can impact their lives and how you can make their schools better. And in 2009 in Madison County, unheard of in the state of Illinois, we opened 6 new public schools in this county. And during my 12 years as regional superintendent, we renovated just about every public school in this county for it to be a safe and welcoming place for our young people to go and learn. And I am so proud of all those types of initiatives, including the onset of one-to-one initiatives, the expansion of the internet into our school systems, provide one-to-one initiatives. So these are very big accomplishments that happen when you have true leadership. In addition to being regional superintendent in Madison County, I rose from 2007 to 2010. I became president of the regional superintendents throughout the state of Illinois at an unprecedented time when the governor decided not to pay us. And there are not many people that would go to work for 6 months every day with no paycheck, no benefits, but I did it. And I led the state of Illinois' education system to override a governor's veto to see that these people got paid. So I know what it's like to work with no pay. I know what it's like to work with no benefits. As county chairman, I would never impair the wages or benefits of anyone who worked for me. It will be my goal each and every day when I go to work to see that my employees have the very best working conditions and that we have morale that wants to be proud to be an employee in Madison County and do the good work for the citizens of this great county. I will work to be a regional leader, that people look at me because I will collaborate with them and get along and develop relationships both on this side of the river and on the Missouri side of the river. I look forward to serving the residents of this county. I look forward to bringing the skills and the expertise that I have to this position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kurt Prenzler, please present yourself to the voters, including your qualifications and why the voters should vote for you for County Board Chair.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. My mother was a member many years ago. And I want to thank also, let's see, make sure I have battery there. I want to thank Paul Pitts and the NAACP in Edwardsville. So I'm Kurt Prenzler. I'm a CPA. I live here in Edwardsville with my wife and 3 children, 2 boys that are at SIUE right now and a daughter that's a senior at Edwardsville High School, member of Providence Presbyterian Church. And again, I'm a CPA and I like to save money. I like to save your money. Now, in 2006, I ran for treasurer in Madison County, and I blew the whistle on Fred Bathon's unethical tax sales. I told Democrat officials what was going on, auditor, county chairman, state's attorney, but they refused to investigate and supported Bathon. So I called the FBI. In 2010, I ran again and won. Then the FBI investigated and Bathon went to federal prison, but not before he cost Madison County taxpayers $4 million. Now, what I did is I automated the tax sales and reduced the penalty interest rate from 18% down to under 4%, which saved millions of dollars for delinquent taxpayers. I also blew the whistle on an unethical investment scheme. Again, no help from the auditor, no help from the state's attorney, and recovered $340,000 that went into the county's coffers. Now, 2016, I was elected chairman. Now, before I was chairman on a different topic, 2/3 of the cats and 1/3 of the dogs in Madison County were euthanized. Today, Madison County is a no-kill county. During my administration, more than 4,500 dogs and cats and 1 pig have been adopted. Now, the first thing I did as county chairman is we reduced the county tax levy by $1.8 million, and we kept it flat in 2018 and 2019. Now, to show the progress we've made on taxes, 5 years ago, the total county government tax levy rate was 73 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Today, it's 57 cents, a full 22% reduction. Now, I think it's important that we keep taxes in check so that we can keep Madison County a place that's family friendly, where you can raise a family, and also where businesses, friendly for businesses so that they can provide people with good jobs. I've tried to put tax caps on the ballot. If reelected, I will continue to urge the county board to put tax caps on the ballot, support my reelection, and I will keep Madison County a no-kill county. I will continue to fight for lower taxes so that families and businesses can prosper. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to read the first proposition that's on the ballot. Bob Diber, I'm going to ask you to spend 1 minute telling us whether you support or don't support this proposition and why or why not. It's a binding referendum. Shall the maximum tax rate for general county purposes of Madison County, Illinois be established at 0.1% of the equalized assessed value of the taxable property therein, instead of 0.20%, the maximum rate otherwise applicable to the next taxes to be extended? Do you support this or do you not support it, and why or why not?
Yes, Rachel, I'm going to support it. The tax levy rate right now is even less than that. And I think it was reported by the Alton Telegraph that this binding resolution would really have little or no effect on people's tax bills. So I realize that the tax levy is right now set at 0.20. We can manage it at 0.18. And I know with the growth in the EAV throughout the county collected close to $11 million of additional revenue this last year. And so we can, maintain that rate at 0.18. That is fantastic. And I will continue to support that, and I will vote yes.
Thank you. Kurt Prenzler, the same resolution, I don't think I need to read it again. Do you support or not support this binding referendum about establishing the tax rate, maximum tax rate of 0.18 instead of 0.20% of taxable property?
Yes, I do. I urge the citizens to vote yes to reduce the maximum general fund tax rate and make permanent the tax reductions of my administration. 4 years ago, before I was chairman, I led more than 120 citizens to gather 10,000 signatures to put a tax cut referendum on the November 16 ballot to reduce the maximum general fund tax rate from 0.25 to 0.20. And the voters approved it 4-1. And the first thing I did as chairman, as I mentioned before, is we reduced the county government tax levy by $1.8 million. Now this year, we've reduced the general fund tax rate down to 0.163, so 16.3 cents. And we want to make these savings permanent, and that's what this referendum will do. And I urge you to vote yes to make these tax cuts permanent. Thank you.
Okay, the second, Bob Diber, the second advisory question is, shall members of the Illinois General Assembly change state law to stop automatic annual salary increases for legislators? Do you support this or not? Why or why not?
I do not believe there should be automatic pay raises for any elected official. State legislators, since this is particularly targeted at them, I was regional superintendent of schools. We did not get automatic pay raise. In fact, we went to court because we didn't receive a pay raise for almost in excess of 10 years when I first came into office. So automatic pay raises, I just don't agree with, because of the very fact you never know what your economic times are. You don't know what your budget constraints are, and giving yourself pay raises over public service needs, I just do not support.
Kurt Prenzler, I'm the same advisory question. Shall members of the Illinois General Assembly change state law to stop automatic annual salary increases for legislators? That's an advisory question.
Yes, I recommend citizens to vote yes to stop automatic pay raises for legislators. Most people in the private sector don't enjoy assumed annual increases, and I don't think state legislators should have this assumed. As a CPA, I believe it's the best practice to build your budget from zero every year. And I think there's another benefit by having the state legislators not assume an annual increase, but that if they do enter that every year, and so the people can see how they vote. So I do recommend citizens to vote yes. Thank you.
Okay, and the third question, Bob Diber. This is the third advisory question. Shall retired Madison County employees and officials drawing a pension be permitted to also draw a salary for service in another position as an employee, official, or independent contractor of Madison County?
Well, I don't think that this question will really make the litmus test a statutory law, because you cannot restrict anyone from being an elected official by a county referendum. And that's part of what's said in there. So I think you'd have to take the word official out. If you just wanted to have an advisory question that said an individual who received a county pension couldn't hold another county job, that would be another question. But I don't think that this I know it's a non-binding referendum. I know what the intent is, but I think it's very political in nature, and I just think it's a bad question.
Kurt Prenzler, do you, the advisory question, shall retired Madison County employees and officials drawing a pension be permitted to also draw a salary for services in another position as an employee, official, or independent contractor of Madison County? Do you believe they should or should not? Why or why not?
Yes, I recommend that the citizens vote no against the practice of double dipping. Double dipping has become commonplace among Democrat Madison County elected officials. Double dipping means that a government employee works 20 or more years, then retires with a lucrative pension that the taxpayers pay, then gets another job with the government, sometimes even earning another pension. Here's what we see again and again. A government employee retiring with a $100,000 per year pension that increases every year plus health insurance. And then with a new government job, he's making $200,000 a year and perhaps qualifying for another pension in another government pension program. I think a better idea would be to elect people who have experience in the private sector who can bring business best practices into the government. Therefore, I urge citizens to vote no against double dipping.
Okay, thank you, both of you. And we've heard from Robert Diber and Kurt Prenzler, candidates for County Board Chair. Now we'll go to the County Board member candidates, not all of whom chose to take part. For District 3, Maria Ferrari, I would like you to speak first. I would like you, Maria, to present yourself to the voters, your qualifications, and why a voter should vote for you. And after that, you'll have 3 more minutes to address those 3 questions.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. As Ms. Rachel mentioned, my name is Maria Ferrari and I'm running for County Board District number 3. I have been from Edwardsville most of my life. My parents both graduated from here, and I graduated from Edwardsville High School and from SIUE. I currently am actually a police officer at SIUE, and I've spent the last 5 years as a police officer. I've been on the Ward and PTO board for the last 2 years, and I've been a member of one of our extremely charitable groups in Edwardsville, the Edwardsville Glen Carbon Junior Service Club. I've been with them for 4 years now. One of the main reasons that I decided to run and why I hope to earn everybody's vote is that I believe that politicians should be public servants, and that's something that I'm well versed with by being a law enforcement officer. I think that in politics, it should be about representing your constituents and doing the greatest good for the most people and making sure that you're going to listen and serve. And as a law enforcement officer, I took an oath to protect and serve. And so for me, this is part of my everyday life, and I hope to be able to extend that to a county board position.
Thank you. Now, if you would address your opinion about those 3 propositions that are on the ballot, whether you support them. I can read them again or not if you feel you recall the ones I read already.
I do recall them, ma'am, so you don't have to go ahead and read them again. In reference to the first one, which is the taxes, I do support lower taxes. As was mentioned, though, this isn't something that'll be a tax break that many people will see right away, since our current tax situation is at 0.163. The cap will prevent it from going up in the future. However, it doesn't affect many people right now. I do support it, but I think overall for a lower tax break that needs to be looked at is what our taxes are currently being used for now and how that money is being spent. Additionally, one of the reasons why we still have a higher tax rate is for the last 3 years, our home assessment values have gone up, which increases property taxes, meaning that even though this would give a lower tax cap, it's still not providing much of a tax break that the Madison County citizens are kind of desperate for.
Do you have about the first advisory question about automatic annual salary increases?
Yes, ma'am. I do not think that they should get automatic salary increases, but I think it is important to note that for the voters, and I feel a responsibility to voters, that regardless of how on the county board we vote, this, or even at the county level when you vote on your ballot, this is not a binding question. This is not something that we have the authority to actually change. This is something that has to be done at the state legislation. So regardless of how you vote, this isn't going to be something that we see results from unless our state legislators choose to take those results themselves. As Mr. Diber mentioned, it's hard to determine what your budget is going to be each year, and that's things that you need to address each year. And not many departments, whether you're a union, whether you're just in a regular job, you don't get that automatic salary increase. It's something that you have to address the cost of living, you have to address the budget, you have to look at all of those overall issues. And for those reasons, I do not support the automatic renewals, but I do know that we have been fortunate enough to have some representatives in there, such as Katie Stewart and Monica Bristow, who have worked to try to pass in their first term that they did not get that automatic increase, and that our legislators this last year did take into account our economic budget and decide that none of them were going to get that. However, I don't think that you're always going to be fortunate enough for that to be the case, that they choose to be fiscally responsible.
And the second advisory question, but the third proposition about retired Madison County employees and officials drawing a pension being permitted also to draw a salary for services in another position. What is your opinion about that?
Yes, ma'am. And much like Mr. Diber said, this to me is an unconstitutional question. You cannot prevent somebody from getting gainful employment. There are issues to be addressed, but the way the question's worded, it's not really a very good question. It's one that creates more issues, I think, than perhaps resolutions. I think some of the things that could be looked at, for example, in my career of law enforcement, at 20 years, if you retire early, you're looking at getting half of your pension, not a full pension. So if you were to go on to have another job where you get a pension, say you do 20 years, you might end up with something equivocal to one overall pension. I understand that it may not be the best idea to collect two pensions from the same county. And I get where that can be a concern. And that might be something where instead of completely disallowing candidates to run, disallowing people to take those positions, and maybe negating the best candidate for the job based on their experience because they've already worked in the county, I think another option should be looked at. Instead of giving them another pension, perhaps look into that second position being a 401k instead, to where they aren't receiving two pensions. I think there's other ways to look at it, but as the question sits, I don't know that it's a very good question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was Maria Ferrari for County Board Member District 3. The next candidate for County Board Member District 18 is Jack Minner. Would you please present yourself to the voters, your qualifications, and why a voter should vote for you for 3 minutes?
Certainly. Good evening. My name is Jack Minner. My wife Jeanette and I reside on Harvard Drive in Edwardsville. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for hosting this forum. I'm currently District 18 County Board incumbent. I've lived in Edwardsville area since the 50s. I operated Jack 66 service for 46 years, served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 8 years, elected to the county board in 2000. I'll complete 20 years this December. On the county board, I served as finance chairman for 14 years, planning and development committee 16 years, 4 years as chairman, government relations 14 years, chairman for 4 years, stormwater committee chairman from 2007 to 2016, served on the personnel committee, health committee, county institutions, and I'm currently serving on the IT committee. I also served on the East-West Gateway Committee, and I served as county chairman pro tem from 2010 to 2016. I feel my record speaks for itself. I feel my experience, with my experience, I have a lot to offer to Madison County, and I would like to ask for your vote to return me to Madison County Board in November. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like you to address any opinions that you may have about the 3 propositions that are on the ballot. The first being the binding referendum about the maximum tax rate being established at 0.18% of the equalized assessed value of the taxable property instead of 0.2%, the maximum otherwise applicable. Do you support that or not, and why or why not?
Yes, I certainly do. I have always felt that the 3 most important things to taxpayers in Madison County is property tax, and property tax. So we have all strived for all my 20 years to try to keep these at the lowest level.
Thank you. Now, the first advisory question is, shall members of the Illinois General Assembly change state law to stop automatic annual salary increases for legislators? Do you have an opinion on that? Do you support it? Why or why not?
I definitely think that they should stop this. I don't think anyone should be given an increase in their pay just because they've served for so much time. In fact, the county board, I don't think's had a raise in at least 10 or 15 years. So I definitely don't think that it ought to be automatic.
Thank you. And the last proposition, which is the second advisory question, is shall retired Madison County employees and officials drawing a pension be permitted to also draw a salary for service in another position as employee, official, or independent contractor of Madison County? What is your opinion of that?
I don't like them serving as a salary as a employee. I don't know whether you can stop someone from having a pension and running for a county-wide position or even a county board position. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to someone in get legal advice on that, because I don't think that's possible. But certainly I don't like double dipping.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Now we do have two contestants. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. We have two contestants for the County Board Member District 26. The first one is Colin Van Meter. If you would present yourself to the voters, your qualifications and reasons that voters should vote for you, Colin.
Hey everyone, it's wonderful to be here tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for having us here to speak to voters tonight. My name's Colin Van Meter, and I'm running for County Board in District 26. That's most of Glen Carbon. But one thing you have to remember about the County Board is while you run in a specific district, and there's 29 of them, you represent the entire county, even those people that voted against you. So it's important to have people on the board that are not only qualified, but are willing to work beyond politics and represent everyone, even those that don't always agree with you. Look, I was raised with a strong sense of community, with the idea that when we give back, we all benefit. When I was young, I was in Scouts, and my journey to Eagle Scout really reinforced those values. Living in this area my entire life has given me a connection to the people that live here I can't easily overlook. I grew up in the Metro East. I graduated from Alton High and SIUE. My wife and I were married here, and we're raising our kids here. Community is truly at the heart of who I am, and it's why I'm running for county board. So I work in IT, and I decided about a decade ago, I really wanted to find a way to show my support for our community. So I left the private sector and at SIUE, my alma mater. I thought it might be a good way to give back, to show my support for really one of the largest employers in Madison County. I still work there today, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Every day I get to meet and work with the next generation at an institution that gives so much to this area. It's shown me what can be accomplished when the goal of an organization is focused on people and working together toward a unified purpose. In addition to my work in IT, I'm a senator on the SIUE Staff Senate, where I represent the Civil Service Open Range employees. This role showed me how much can be accomplished when you actually listen and represent people, not labels. I'm also an elected trustee on the State University Retirement System Board, where I help oversee over $20 billion in assets, and I represent more than 250,000 members across Illinois, a good number of whom live right here in Madison County. Now, public pensions, they're not really the most popular thing in Illinois right now. They're severely underfunded and have been continually demonized. I'm not in a position to fix the funding or benefits of the pension system. That'd be up to the state legislature. And I'm not here to say whether pensions are good or bad, but I decided to take on this position, even with all the negativity associated with it, because there was no one from our area on the board to ensure that the system is running in a way that looks after its members, especially those that live in Southern Illinois. And I will bring that same dedication to the county board. So looking at the county board and the partisanship that has occurred over the past few years, I decided I wanted to try and do something to change it. This is local government. And at this level, the decisions that are made have the most immediate effect on people's lives. When policy is decided in a partisan way, it has a very strong likelihood of ending with a negative outcome. I've worked with people with different backgrounds and very different views that didn't always agree with me. We have created policy together that benefited everyone. I will not play in the partisan games. My campaign isn't about politics or party. I'm not a politician. It's about bringing our county board back to basics. It's about focusing on our community, and it's about all the people who live here, not just those in one party. I'm running to make our county and our local government work for all of us again. And if you support me, I'll work every day to ensure we're moving in a direction that benefits everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. The other candidate for County Board Member District 26, Erica Conway Harris. Oh, I'll go back and ask you your opinion about those three propositions. Erica Conway Harris, present yourself to the voters. including your qualifications and why someone should vote for you. I'll then go back and back with about the three propositions on the ballot.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for having us to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP. We all know it's been a challenge during this campaign to have an opportunity to meet voters, and so thank you for this time. For those of you that don't know, I'm Erica Harris, and I first ran for political office 4 years ago for the county board seat 26th of Glen Carbon. I was compelled to run feeling I could provide a new perspective and solutions to county government. I'm a local mom, a wife, and a business owner, and I was born and raised in Madison County. I'm one of 4 children, and therefore I learned communication and conflict resolution skills at a young age. My husband Jeff and I met in English class at Edwardsville High School, and we graduated together in 1995. I went on to attend Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, on both academic and athletic scholarships. Go Cougar Tennis. I believe we need thoughtfulness in government, especially from people who have worked in the private business sector, and I offer this experience. In 2014, I lived out the American dream of entrepreneurship. I created a new product to solve common hair dilemmas affordably, easily, and with instant results in my kitchen. We've expanded since then, building a manufacturing area and an office space because the FDA typically frowns upon making cosmetics and then making dinner in the same space. My company creates, manufactures, and distributes hair powder here in Glen Carbon. And under my leadership, Saving Grace was a runner-up in the 2015 Metro East Startup Challenge. I was a presenter at Washington University's Startup Connection, winner of the Innovate Her 2016 St. Louis, Illinois Division Business Competition, and a semifinalist in the Metro East Startup Challenge 2016. I enjoyed help through SIUE's Small Business Development Center, and I give back through mentoring to other startup small businesses. I've considerable experience in marketing and public relations. I'm an avid learner, and I started a career in television as part of a select college internship in the newsrooms at KSDK TV in St. Louis and WLBT in Jackson, Mississippi. I was later hired at KSDK for my ability to effectively communicate, gather information and research, and lead teams on tight deadlines. An opportunity came that allowed me to spend time assisting with marketing and human resources after that for former St. Louis Cardinal baseball player Ozzie Smith at his staffing company. And following my time there, I led nationally recognized clients through PR work at Godwin Group Advertising Agency. After this, I served as Director of Communications for the National Children's Cancer Society until my first child was born. And for the last 15 years, I've been in a busy role called Keeping the Kids Alive to Ryan, Julia, and Emerson, who turns 9 today. This role is a lot more complicated some days than others. We attend Metro Community Church and have served as youth group leaders for the last 18 plus years. I'm also a volunteer for Paint the Town Gold as a neighborhood liaison to provide funds for children's cancer research. As a local mom, volunteer, and business owner, I know my skills and experience are an asset to our county government. And as a citizen, I emphasize the importance of fiscal stewardship. Having built my own business, I've learned to listen well and communicate clearly, and I know what it takes to transform complex issues into practical solutions. I think outside the box and offer proactive approaches with a positive attitude. This decision to run was heartfelt and important to me. Involvement in our local government is essential because the actions of our local representatives have an enormous impact on our everyday lives. As I mentioned, I've had the honor of serving as a county board member for one 4-year term. During this time, we've reduced the county portion of the tax bill by $1.8 million and then kept this flat for the next 2 years. While reducing the tax levy, we've also increased millions to the Sheriff's Department's, State's Attorney, and Public Defender's Office. In June, we voted to put a referendum on the ballot that, as you know, would lower a portion of the Madison County property tax levy. This marks the second time in 4 years taxpayers are given an opportunity to vote on reduction in taxes. Today, the county animal shelters, No Kill, and dog kennels are empty for the first time because they are all adopted. I currently serve as the chair of the County Personnel Committee and also on the Grants, Government Relations, and IT committees. Additionally, I was asked to be on the Open Up Madison County Committee and have helped collaborate with small businesses to reopen safely following guidelines. I've also pushed for complete and accurate data to be included in our region counts. I'm ready to continue this challenge, and I do appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Colin Van Meter, the first binding referendum. Shall the maximum tax rate for the general county purposes of Madison County, Illinois be established at 0.18% of the equalized assessed value of the taxable property therein instead of 0.20%, the maximum rate otherwise applicable to the next taxes to be extended? Do you support this or not? Please give your reasons.
I'm actually supportive of this resolution, but I am really disappointed that it won't actually decrease most people's taxes. I'd like to see our taxes lowered, and if I'm able to do that while on the county board, I will.
Erica Harris, do you support the binding referendum that I just read?
Yes, so this resolution passed the county board by a vote of 25 yes, 1 no. I did vote in favor of this initiative. Recognizing taxes are a huge issue in Illinois. I appreciate instances when taxing bodies do consider reducing the amount to taxpayers. Of course, we all know that our taxes pay for services also, and so this is a balance of providing excellent services at the best cost. And I'm thankful to have been a part of the county board and that they took this upon themselves to bring this resolution to taxpayers. I'd actually like to see other taxing bodies follow this lead and analyze where they might be able to work smarter to provide some relief for residents as well. This initiative asks voters if they want to bring the levy down to 0.81 or 0.18%, which, as others have mentioned, is not a huge reduction. It's about $7 for every $100,000. However, if every taxing body would consider following the lead on this, it could lead to significant savings. Currently, we typically see taxes only going in one direction, up. And if each of these government bodies just increases their levy by $5 or $10 a month, it definitely adds up. So the overall message here is it's a binding referendum. It gives the voters the opportunity to make a decision about their own taxes. And as a representative of the people, I think we should always try to do that when we can. And this is a great example of that.
Colin Van Meter, how do you feel the first advisory question, second proposition on the ballot, shall members of the Illinois General Assembly change state law to stop automatic annual salary increases for legislators?
Well, I wholeheartedly feel that the legislature should have to vote on a rate every year and own that vote if they give themselves one. But this ballot resolution only asks a question. There is no policy behind this. And I think that's a shame, because you're putting something on a ballot that is just asking a question. Thank you.
Erica Harris, what are your feelings about that same advisory question I just read?
Sure. So this passed the county board 22 yes to 2 no. I voted yes on it. It, of course, is a non-binding resolution that sends a message to the legislature in Springfield what constituents think. As it was stated on the resolution, actually, in the past few decades, the state of Illinois has maintained a reputation of being one of the most fiscally mismanagement states in the nation. Our pension systems are significantly underfunded, with pension debt in excess of $200 billion. We know Illinois has one of the worst credit ratings of all the states in the nation, leaving Illinois with a consistent negative fiscal outlook and a near junk credit status. We've been unable to pay vendors for sometimes up nearly 2 years. And as a state, we have about $5 billion in unpaid bills. So legislative salaries are funded through a continuing appropriation that was enacted in spring of 2014. And essentially, these raises are just on autopilot, meaning that legislators must vote to stop it from happening. In our fields, you and I do not have that same type of raises just continuing to happen. And I don't think that our legislative salaries should do that either. Members of the General Assembly automatically receive these raises each year, and they are some of the highest paid lawmakers in the country. It's particularly unsettling when for nearly 2 decades they've failed to reverse the trend of the rising debt, excessive spending, waste, unbalanced budgets, and occasionally any lack of budget at all. I do think people are very upset about that, and while this is a non-binding resolution, this will give people, again, an opportunity to share that message with legislators. Our state representatives do publicly say they support balanced budgets, but yet we have not yet seen a vote for one in many years. So while it's not binding, I think it's important for people to have their voice heard.
Colin Van Meter, what do you think, what is your opinion about the advisory question, shall retired Madison County employees and officials drawing a pension be permitted to also draw a salary for service in another position as employee, official, or independent contractor?
So I strongly believe the county needs to set a standard policy when it comes to bringing back individuals on a contractual basis that are also collecting a public pension. I'm not a big fan of double dipping, and I will fight against it when I'm on the board. But let's look at these three propositions as a whole. On the surface, they all appear worthwhile and beneficial to the people in the county. The problem is that none of these propositions on the ballot really do much of that. Two of them are just asking the question, do you agree with this? And the other seeks to adjust the maximum tax rate for the general county that we're not even taxing at. So the outcome of these for voters will be, for the most part, no change at all. But taxpayers' time and money has been wasted adding these propositions to the ballot. It's going to give people a false sense that they voted to lower their taxes or to change the way the legislature approves raises. These are the exact type of political games that I'm running against. And I'll say it again, this is local government. There's not a lot of room for games at this level, and voters are tired of it. If I'm elected to this board, I will do everything I can to stop this practice and make sure items that are added to the ballot focus on actual substantive issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Erica Harris, what do you think of this advisory question I just read?
Sure. So I would not say that something on our ballot is a political game. Actually, quite the contrary. Pensions have nearly disappeared in our private sector, and there are a surprising number of county employees who've retired from the county, receive a full pension, and then return to work at the county. Now, this is perfectly legal. It is important to know that just because something's legal doesn't always mean it's ethical. Traditional pension plans are fading away in the private sector, meaning taxpayers are given pension plans less and less at their places of employment. Yet we not only are doing it in the government, we are allowing people to do it twice. And this resolution did not discuss someone that comes from one area of government and then works in a different area. This was specific to Madison County. So as we discussed a little bit earlier, Illinois pension systems are significantly underfunded. Our total pension debt is in excess of $200 billion. And there's been this practice throughout Illinois, including in Madison County, where retired employees and officials receiving pension for prior government service to this county are then rehired or elected to a different position within Madison County government. And I just think that's disrespectful to the taxpayer. So this particular one is non-binding, although I will say, as the chair of the Personnel Committee, if this is something that we can move on, and I would look to do that. That said, there's been considerable debate on the legality of it. So it is important to remember, while this will give us an idea of how taxpayers feel about it, there's perhaps some really big legal obstacles that we need to look at if this would legislation before it could occur. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all our candidates today. For the Illinois Representative 112th District, we heard from Katie Stewart and Lisa Champoli. And from Madison County, we heard from Circuit Clerk candidates Amy Gabriel and Tom McRae. For Madison County State's Attorney, we heard from candidates Crystal Uwe and Tom Hain. From Madison County Auditor candidates, we heard from Joe Silkwood and David Michael. For Coroner, we heard from Steve Nahn. County Board Chair, we heard from candidates Robert Diber and Kurt Krensler. For County Board Member District 3, we heard from Maria Ferrari. County Board Member District 18, we heard from Jack Minner. And County Board Member District 26, we heard from Colin Van Meter and Erica Conway Harris. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in this event. It's a little uncomfortable for us to make the transition over to video, but I think you've all done a wonderful job. And thanks to your cooperation. I do want to say to the voters in closing, I don't think that the part was recorded for Facebook where we presented the League of Women Voters, now celebrating 100th anniversary, working in this event with the NAACP Edwardsville chapter. to present information for voters. We're encouraging that voters be informed, know what they're voting for, and vote. You can register to vote until October 6th. Voting early begins in our county on the 24th, 2 days from today, Thursday. There are Saturday and Sunday hours available. Vote by mail ballots will begin to be sent out on the 24th and can be requested until October 28th. If you have any questions, go to Madison Votes for information regarding where you can vote, what the hours are, what the availability is of certain polling places. It should be easy with the guidance that we can get on that website to find a place to vote. Please know who you're voting for, know the policy positions, and vote. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.